Little tip for you here, progression is enabled again on the solo and co-op modes in Battlefield 2042. This means that you can load up a game of Breakthrough or Conquest and shoot the AI to unlock all of the attachments for guns and vehicles if you want to. It's also a great place to practice flying if you want to try and get better at that. Also, I did show this on stream the other day, but this has to be one of the most inventive Portal experiences I've seen so far. This was created by Andy Boham, and if you want to try it for yourself, the code is AAJY99. Andy has created a wingsuit course where you fly through rings which are checkpoints made up of bots. I don't even know how you would go about starting to do that with the logic editor. Pretty insane really that this kind of thing is possible, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what else people come up with. DICE have just revealed some upcoming changes and updates as well for BF 2042 that should roll out soon, potentially by the end of this week, including hovercraft nerfs, weapon spread adjustment and more. There's some interesting stuff here. We're also going to be looking at optimizing your game on PC for better performance and more. So patches then. This has all come from the new official Battlefield Communication Twitter account. We got some insight into what's next for the game. Let's have a look now. Soldier revives. We're confident that we've identified the cause of the issue that was preventing you from always getting off a revive, particularly when a player is in close proximity to nearby geometry. A fix for this is on the way. I'd argue that this is one of the most annoying bugs in the game right now for players both giving and receiving revives. Hopefully this update can solve that. It continues. Separately, we're closing in on a possible server-side fix for players who in rare circumstances find themselves unable to respawn. If that server-side fix doesn't stick, we already have a further solution lined up for our upcoming update. Interesting that they can use this new server-side update system to have a crack at fixing that instead of having to push a client-side patch. We'll see if it works though, of course. Next up, hovercrafts, the bane or joy of our existence depending on if you're in one or on the receiving end of one. They're stupidly good right now, a catch-all, and I'd argue a more effective vehicle than tanks, which just doesn't make any sense in a Battlefield game. Here's what DICE said. Vehicle balancing. The LCAA hovercraft will be re-equipped with lighter armor, lowering its health and retuning down some of its weaponry. The Nightbird will have similar tuning done on its weaponry too. We're keeping a close eye on early balance for future changes. So it looks like they've acknowledged the balance problems with the hovercraft and Nightbird helicopter. I think the issue with the Nightbird for me is the 70mm anti-personnel rocket pack, which is obviously way too good. And when playing as infantry, if you get hit by most of the helicopter's weapons, it appears to apply a slow effect to your character, which means escaping or countering becomes incredibly difficult at times. The bolt with the 30mm cannon should also be monitored too, as I think that is almost as OP as the hovercraft. It's just that not many people have unlocked it yet, but I guarantee you'll be killed a lot more by it soon. They signed off by saying, we'll keep you updated here on further fixes and changes we have coming in our next update. These changes and more are presently scheduled for deploy at the end of next week. So that was last week, so that means maybe we'll get it Thursday or Friday. Alongside this, DICE lead game designer Drunksy added some additional context and replied to community members on Twitter sharing their concerns with certain aspects of the game. In regards to PC optimization, the team is well aware of the feedback. As previously mentioned, there's a fix coming for revives not working and bugging out in the game. They're working on adding options for icon transparency and scaling for the user interface. Gunbloom will receive changes, and they've already done a change on their side, but it's a matter of getting the changes in to an upcoming update. A fix is coming for the stuck in crouch issue 2, as well as the stuck in down state fix. The ability to see where nearby medics are is returning in an upcoming update. Hit registration issues are being worked on as well. Finally, from Drunksy, aim assist is being looked at. I don't know specifically what, but I've personally heard a lot of console and controller players complaining that the game has very little aim assist, so it could be related to that. Moving on, optimizations. If you play on PC, you'll know that the game runs poorly, even on high-end systems. Low frame rates and heavy input lag make for a rough experience, especially on 128-player game modes. It would appear that there's a memory leak too, as the longer you play, the worse FPS that you get. Outside of the usual tweaks like overclocking your CPU, GPU and memory, restarting your game every few matches, that seems to help for me. There's a few other things you can try. In addition, a content creator called Freethy, who tests and optimizes games and Windows on PC, recently made an optimization guide for Battlefield, including a config file that you can test out for yourself. Now, I've personally tried that config file and it definitely improved my FPS. Input lag is still pretty nasty, but at least I got a boost in frame rate of 1440p, which is the resolution that I typically play on. I've linked his guide down in the description below if you'd like to try it out. Finally for today, I don't usually pay any attention to this kind of stuff, and many of my long-term viewers won't have even noticed it, but it has been excessive for me over the last week, and it's appeared in my YouTube comments too. There has been several threads about the content that I create here on the Battlefield 2042 subreddit since the early access of the game started. There's a ton of negativity, and we're going to take a look at some of that now, as I don't think that these people actually watch any of my videos or streams. There's also many wild assumptions and conspiracy theories here too. Let's take a look. Jack Frags has been silent. Has anyone else noticed that the big Battlefield YouTubers seem to be completely ignoring the issues going on in the game? When BF5 had its issues, for example, it felt like everyone on the platform immediately spoke out about it. Yet this time around, people like Jack Frags and Westy seem to completely ignore the awful state of the game without even commenting about it. It almost feels like a disservice to the community by not using the platform they have to openly speak out to DICE about what they truly feel. Maybe it is completely normal, but I'm pissed when I see content creators like Jack Frag saying that the game is fine and the next day genuinely say that the game is terrible. This just makes me think they care only about money and change opinion when they want in order to make money. Probably many of you will disagree, but keep in mind that this is just my opinion and I don't force anyone to have the same as me. Did Jack say it was fine? His previous videos just seem to show gameplay or features, not his personal opinion on the game. He didn't say it was fine, but he ignored all of the issues. Jack Frags, yo, EA, everybody is saying that I'm only talking about positive stuff about the game. I know you don't want me to talk about the negative stuff, but can I do it only once, please, please, please? EA, sorry, fine, but only once. Jack Frags for sure is the #1 suspect, biggest fan base, and hasn't really put out any criticism, just paid EA Creator Network videos. Yes, if content creators are getting sponsored by gaming companies, they aren't going to talk bad about the game, like Jack Frags for example. Jack Frags reveals it after the game is released. It's BS, he is very reserved. If you all think he isn't getting some type of kickback as a content creator or has had a temp contract in limitations of opinions and wording, you are all delusional AF. I unsubbed Jack Frags after this. He lost all credibility with me as far as I'm concerned by ignoring the glaring issues with this game. He keeps promoting it with videos, and I think with a following like his, he should have the balls to come out and point these things out over totally ignoring it and misleading his fans. He's clearly under some kind of contract. The last 2 videos were sponsored by EA and Nvidia. It's like Jack renewed his contract this release or something, lol. He was critical in a way of BF5 but radio silent on 2042. I don't like this. Agreed, I think he took a payday because he would have had a totally different reaction in prior years. Watch their streams. I find a lot of the honesty is found in their streams and never in their regular 5 to 10 minute videos that were sponsored by EA. Jack Frags has obviously been paid. His recent videos are obvious let's look over here instead of over there type videos, ignoring the issues and doing silly tours of the maps. Mate, this guy is a BF YouTuber and has hardly mentioned anything bad about the game in any recent video or stream. He's obviously contracted to not speak on anything negative. They totally are being quiet. Just look at Jack Frags, a guy who's been playing every Battlefield to date is now just casually playing and posting videos of him having fun in 2042 and not a single mention of any issues. He's been so paid off. It even says in his video's description, sponsored by EA. People need to wake up and realize how much power can money bring in today's media, and people here in this sub are the most woke people already about Battlefield. The joke is on you to believe they're shilling in the first place. They're hookers for EA, especially that turd who somehow has over 3 million subs. I have no idea how people can tolerate that moron's videos. Lol, I just watched his video yesterday and I was in complete awe how he started talking about how crazy the destruction is. It's like DICE and EA saw that one Reddit post that brought up the tech demo and how it's completely out of the game, and they went to Jack and told him to make a video on how great destruction is in the game. It goes on and on and on. That's just some of the examples. Let's look at the content that I put out in the early access period where I actually got to play the game in a live environment. November 11th, first day of early access, Penguin Easter egg video. November 13th, live stream sponsored by Epic Games. November 14th, live stream sponsored by EA. November 17th, insane details in the game sponsored by Nvidia. November 18th, live stream sponsored by EA. November 19th, feedback video with some impressions of the game after the day 1 patch and official launch of the game. Here's some clips from those live streams earlier in the week. We had some fun and great moments for sure, but also ran into many bugs, performance problems and frustrations. When you zoom in as well, the frame rate goes so low. Like it just feels horrible with the high power zoom scopes. Like it drops like 10 FPS. Ugh. Needs a lot of optimization, man. actually feels so awful. I'm sorry. I know it probably sounds like I'm throwing excuses out, but aiming is just horrible. Like, this UI needs a massive improvement. There's so many clicks you have to make. You should just be able to click here. Like, if I wanted to customize that site there, for example, my brain says, you can click this. You can't. You have to go site, and then you can change it. And then you have to go back. The main problem for me on PC is performance. I think that needs addressing. I have some issues with the UI as well, in the menus and in the game. I think it's a good base to start with. There's a lot of bugs though, a lot of glitches. Hopefully they get those fixed ASAP. Some lag with the servers. I'm also not a big fan of the spread on the guns, but it still felt quite bad then on that last level.
I also don't know how many guns are in it.
There's 22 in total. Not that many.
Does that scale back?
What do you mean?
Feels very little.
Yeah, it's definitely like an underwhelming amount of guns. I think they should just start adding some of the BF3 guns, because why not? Like, they could still be used in the year 2042, a lot of those weapons. Hey Rami, are you streaming with your 3090? Yes, but I'm streaming off a different PC. My gaming PC isn't doing anything but playing the game. It's just the optimization's not great right now for the game. Oh my god, this UI.
Oh, so many guys, so many guys, so many guys. That was a mistake.
Heavy barrel.
Yeah, see, that I don't want to change now because I set up the M4. So I don't want to waste half my day setting up a second one.
Jack, what do you make of the gunplay weapon bloom? I don't like it. I think most of the guns have got too much bloom and spread on them. The only like decent feeling gun in this game is the PP. The rest of them sometimes, especially at distance, just feel like you just like, what's a good way of explaining it? I was going to say pissing in the wind. I feel like the guns in the beta were better. My progression doesn't track in Portal Team Deathmatch. Yeah, they disabled it for now, Donovan, because people were making XP farming servers. But they need to figure out a solution to this, because they promised that you could have progression on Portal, and it's been disabled for the last 2 or 3 days. So, you know, they need to come up with a solution pretty quick. Like, the problem with the hovercraft is that it's armored, it's got a smoke escape, it's quick, it's got an anti-infantry grenade launcher. It's got also anti-vehicle weapons if you want. It takes no damage to minigun fire. And also, me personally, I fired plenty of rocket shots at hovercraft, and they just dust. They don't do any damage. And I don't know if that's a server problem or is that a problem specific to hovercrafts, but the amount of times I've hit hovercrafts with rocket launchers and you see the explosion, but you don't get a hit marker and you don't do any damage. That's happened way too much for me. Like, that's awful.
Yeah.
Try and
So
rest.
did I, but it wasn't by a sniper.
Oh, that's a really bad bug as well. When people are dead near walls, you can't revive them. Marcel, thank you for the 2 months. Is the plus system bugged because I can't switch ammo types? I just do a broken wrist animation. It might be. There's a lot of things broken in the game right now, so... It's just behind that tree. You got me? Thank you. Oh, third person mode. That's bugged. I'm back. I don't think I've hated a vehicle more in a Battlefield game than these stupid hovercrafts. Honestly, I can't stand them. Oh, how did that not do any damage? It was right on it. It's so annoying. Really annoying. Like, frame rate's quite low here. Like, look at that. Top left. Gives you a lot of, like, micro stuttering and inconsistency in the mouse movement. As I said, I'm sure they'll optimize it. I hope so anyway. It should be a priority, I think. I need to be able to see teammates and medics in this screen as well. Get him, doggo. Get him.
Stay back. I'll fix myself.
Yeah, like, I've got no... I don't know if I should hold on to my revive here or not.
Stay back.
Okay, there we go. You need to be able to see how far away your teammates are. Just disables the HUD. See, sometimes the gunplay just clicks like that. And then other times you just get so much spread that it feels weird. Everyone's on about 22 guns, but how many guns does Halo have? Different type of game though, Merciless. Halo's an arena shooter. Battlefield players are so used to having like a lot more choice as well when it comes to guns at launch. So it's not just my PC that, no, real gangster, that PC performance is not good for this game yet. I'll be happy with 120 consistently, but when it starts dropping to like 60, 70. For me as a PC player, that feels really horrible. The mouse sensitivity is all inconsistent and sluggish. You start to get more input lag. Yeah, that was the DMR JT. My frame rate is so bad though that on that map, like, it just feels awful to shoot. I really, really, really hope they optimize the game on PC because it makes the mouse feel horrible. They're hiding in this golf ball there. See what happened then as well? It was very small, but I ADS'd and I have toggle ADS on, right? So when I right click once, it should stay aimed in. It unzoomed me. That's happened several times tonight, so I think that's a bug as well. Happens more with the pistol. Oh, that bug's still in the game where enemies can change. Sorry, friendlies can change to enemies. Have you seen that? Like this guy's got an enemy skin because it's red and I don't have the UI for it.
What the hell?
It happened once yesterday with a vehicle as well. Like I was trying to take out a helicopter and I was like, why isn't this taking any damage? And I realized that that bug can also apply to vehicles. I wanted to put this clip into. This is from the Battlefield 2042 open beta back in October. And this stream was sponsored by Nvidia. What do I think is the biggest net negative of the game so far? I think perhaps it's lost some of its identity as a Battlefield game, moving away from the class system. It's given people a lot more choice and creativity in how they play, but at the same time, it's lost some of that core Battlefield identity. You know, that's what makes Battlefield unique compared to a lot of other games. It still has a lot of Battlefield in it, this game, for sure. Like, it's got sandbox, it's got vehicles, 128 players, bit of destruction. You know, no other game really does that the same. But I think losing the classes maybe has diminished teamwork a bit too much than it should have done. Apart from that, it's the UI. Like, I just wish I could change it. But I still think it's inherently fun, and I'm going to play it a lot when it comes out. We'll see. I mean, when all 10 specialists are in and you're playing with your friends, team play might come back a bit. But I think for the casual random player on their own, they're not really going to get much team play. The thing is, it won't change. I know a lot of people have been saying, look, change the specialists so that they are part of a class and you have to pick a specialist class to have a certain gadget rather than one specialist gets one unique gadget. I don't think that's going to happen because the specialists are part of the monetization system and the live service, and it's all wrapped up together, so I don't see that changing. Whilst I understand that many people don't watch my live streams or live stream VODs, to say that I'm only saying positive things about the game, ignoring the issues and can't be critical or share my real opinions because of some imaginary contract are ridiculous. I'm literally showing bugs and providing feedback and criticism in the sponsored streams. I'm going to repeat that. All of the clips that you just saw were from sponsored streams. At least do some research and watch my content first. That's all I'm asking. I think a lot of these people fixated on the insane details video that I posted and just looked at that out of context. This video was posted after 2 of those YouTube streams that you've just seen some clips from and was sponsored by Nvidia, a company that makes graphics cards, and this was agreed 3 months ago. It's the typical type of video that I usually make when a new Battlefield game releases, looking at cool details in the game, some Easter eggs, mini Levolution moments, myth busting, etc. It's the kind of video that I really enjoy creating. The talking points in this sponsored video are using DLSS technology at 4K ultra settings and Nvidia Reflex. The sponsored messaging in it has nothing to do with DICE and EA, and it's clearly not a review of the game or a comparison to older games. I even mentioned that DLSS may or may not give you a performance jump at 1080p or 1440p because of this game being CPU bottlenecked. DLSS doesn't do anything for my PC at 1440p. Also, I feel like this should be common sense and go without saying, but it's okay to appreciate good and bad parts of a product, especially in art forms like video games. Focusing on interesting details in a piece of content doesn't mean that you're ignoring problems in others, and ultimately I can create whatever I want on my own channel. Additionally, YouTube titles and thumbnails are for the YouTube algorithm. They're designed to get you to click the video and watch. The content of the video is for you. That's the most important part to pay attention to. Wrapping up, as I said in the feedback video after the day 1 patch where I spelt out all of my issues with BF 2042, the game clearly isn't finished in its current state and it should not have launched like this. I hope that you can get a refund if you bought the game and feel let down by it. I feel sorry for the developers, and there's obviously a problem with the studio or the publisher that they didn't choose to delay to a later date or get good hands-on feedback or mass testing on the current state of the game before going live with it. As a community, I think we can do better as well. I've seen several people attacking and throwing insults at developers on their personal accounts, and the same people then complain when developers never respond. I've also seen people be attacked for simply saying that they enjoy the game. Yes, there are lots of parts of this game that are broken, but that doesn't mean someone can't enjoy it, and you attacking them for saying that they do isn't going to change how they feel. I've always been fair and constructive with my feedback. For 10 years now on YouTube, I've stuck with this franchise, and I believe in delivering that feedback in a professional and reasonable manner. If you don't like how I do that, then that's okay. I just want you to know that this notion that I'm avoiding saying bad things about 2042 isn't true, as I've just shown you, and there's no fear of losing sponsorship or burning any bridges with EA or any other company that sponsors my content for that matter. There's no secret contract, and every piece of sponsored content for 2042 has been disclosed. The only sponsored content I've done with EA for this game were those 2 live streams from last week. And my only obligations for those streams was to play the game for 4 hours in total. I could have sat there in silence and just played it if I wanted to. Additionally, please don't attack any of the Reddit users that were featured in this video. They're entitled to say what they said. That's all. I'll keep you guys updated on any updates and patches for the game as we learn about them. And I do have a lot more content planned for this game, so look out for that too. I apologize for my voice as well. I think I overdid it last week with live streams and videos. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like. If you didn't, a dislike. Subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next one.